Guys, I am super excited for today's guest on Them Frames That Make Us. I'm joined by world-renowned street photographer Phil Penman. He is known for his fine art, black and white photography, and he has been exhibited in multiple galleries all around the world, including several Leica galleries as well. It's going to be a great episode where we look at three of his images that have played a pivotal part in his photographic journey. And there's one particular incident and image that made him return to photography and leave another life behind. So stay tuned for it, guys. If you do like this podcast, then please can I ask you to hit a like, do subscribe, and leave a comment and let me know your thoughts. Let's get into it. This is Them Frames That Make Us with Phil Penman. Phil Penman, how are we?
I'm very well indeed, mate. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, mate. We're going to look at some of your images. We've got three of your images to look at. We've got a professional one, a personal one, and one that's no one's ever seen before. So I'm going to start with the professional image here of a young girl, obviously holding a sign, and yeah, just take us back to that image. What's going on? Why you're taking it? Where you're taking it?
This was actually a pro bono gig for a company called Family Reach, who it was one of these companies that basically, if you get cancer, they will take care of your bills, any of your expenses while you're going through it. So it was done for a creative agency. I used to do like a lot of commercial work and campaign work, and as part of that, you'd have to do, usually for one paid gig, you'd have to do like 2 or 3 pro bono gigs. And the reason why they like to do the pro bono gigs is, one, so they can give back, but also because those are the ones that generally tend to win awards, because the creative
Okay.
agencies, they get to do what they want to do. So the premise was to have 5 or 6 different scenarios where people look like they were regular people, but they were about to be homeless on the street. So this girl, she's just an actress. And the boards themselves are actually completely blank. And the script was added on later in Photoshop.
Is it difficult to? Because I know from a lot of your work out on the street, you have interacted with people who are genuinely kind of without a home, homeless. So when it's kind of acting, is it hard to kind of generate that same emotion, that same kind of vibe? Like how is it on set when you're kind of creating the scene rather than the scene being genuine?
Right. Yeah. They hired me because of my style and the work that they'd seen before. So
Hmm.
like the stuff I've done of the downtrodden before. So that was one of the reasons why I got the gig. But it's definitely a different take on it, because when you're doing pictures of people on the street, half the time I'm just engaged in conversation with people, and a lot of the time I don't actually take their picture as well. So like if I feel like this isn't going right, or I've had like at least 3 or 4 people just break down in tears in front of me when they're telling me their story, and I don't feel right taking the picture. It was more a case of like, okay, something that we're doing is actually really going to do some good.
Yeah.
So because it was for a charity organization, um, everyone was it was a very small crew. It wasn't, because you basically, when you're doing this, you're basically working for expenses. So you're not actually getting paid. The expenses are
Yeah.
covered. So it was more kind of like, well, let's get this done, and hopefully we can do some good for someone.
That's great. And you know, obviously you've had a long history in professional photography, and you do the gig, you move on, you do the next one. With something like this, do they keep you in the loop? Like what happens after the fact with the campaign, or do you not get an update? How does that work once the job's done?
No, we were very involved in this right from the beginning to the end. So we probably spent about 2 to 3 days scouting locations,
Mhm.
trying to find somewhere we could do this. It was actually done in during COVID as well. So just
Okay.
when things were starting to open up, and there was all the protests on the street as well. So that was going on right around us when we were doing the shoot. So that was kind of an awkward scenario. But once we finished the shoot, we kind of like went back and forth whether we were going to do them in color or not. I gave them the images in like many different color grades, and then in the end we just said no, it's much better if we just keep it gritty, black and white. And yeah, I think it worked out pretty well. It won the awards for them, which is what they wanted. So
Nice.
it's
Yeah.
interesting with the creative agencies, their whole goal, but I didn't know this, was to get in Archive magazine, which is like the Bible for creatives. So
Okay.
if you get an Archive magazine and you win awards, they're happy.
Excellent. And you did your part. And I'm glad they kept it black and white because, like you said, they hired you because of what you're known for. And I know you do shoot some color, but when you think of a Phil Penman photograph, it's black and white whenever I think of one. So I'm glad they
Well,
stuck with that.
I was gonna send you another one, but it was a campaign we called Bulby, and they said like we want it very punchy in color. If you looked at the work, you wouldn't recognize it at all. It kind of looked like Martin Parr style.
Okay.
And
Okay.
we had to create this huge like bulb basically, and the bulb was supposed to be like a person
Right.
in an environment in different scenes, like here's me and Bulby hanging out kind of thing. And
Okay.
it's so a lot of the work that I've done, you probably wouldn't recognize that it's me. So it was nice
Yeah.
to do this campaign, and it was purely my look.
Nice, man. Okay. We're going to jump to the next image, which is one that people haven't seen, and I certainly haven't seen it. And I'm very intrigued to understand what's going on here. So it is an image of you, and I don't want to laugh because you're clearly on crutches, so it's not you're not having a great time, but at the same time you're with your camera, so maybe you are. So what's going on here?
This is probably the one time in my life when my whole career changed.
Okay.
So I think things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
I quit the photography world, like the news and the celebrity world, in 2015. I took a job working for this cycling company, and I was selling clothing. And when I came in, like our sales were around 300,000. And within 3 years, I managed to get it to just under 1 million. So I was doing well in the job. It wasn't
Yeah.
like I was getting paid big money or anything. And part of my job was to ride with clients and, introduce them to the gear that we were selling.
Yeah.
And I remember I went up to Rochester, and I did a ride in the morning, a like 60-mile ride with some clients. And then in the afternoon, there was this bike race. And I said, you know what, I better not do the bike race because I don't want anything to happen. And also, it was my wife's birthday as well. Like, I left my wife on her birthday to go work. And
Ah,
I'm riding with this client, Pete, and all of a sudden, we're riding down this quiet road in the middle of nowhere, and this dog comes flying out, takes me down. I land, I break my hip,
oh, man.
and like, it was brutal because they didn't give me any drugs or anything in the ambulance either. I got to the hospital, like it was a local hospital, and they X-rayed me, and they said, "Sorry, bad news is you've broken your hip. You can either wait here till Monday morning, because this happened on a weekend. You can either wait till Monday morning and they'll have to give you a new hip, or we can rush you in an ambulance now to Rochester Hospital Strong, and they could try to save your hip." And I got to the hospital, like I said, let's try to save it. I get in the
Yeah.
ambulance. It's like an hour. We get to the hospital, and I remember the woman in the ambulance telling me, "Look, it's going to feel like a movie scene when you get out of the ambulance." And I got out. People are like handcuffed everywhere to benches. People are screaming. There's a guy next to me preaching his case that he needs more fentanyl and Ozempic and not Ozempic, sorry. uh, not- he needed to lose weight right now.
Yeah,
Um,
it's an emergency.
it's an emergency. But he was trying to get his prescription pills, and I remember the doctor saying we need to rush this guy's stat because
Wow.
obviously he needs his Ozempic, right? But
Yeah, yeah.
so I'm thinking, well, shit, this guy must be in a really bad state, and it was me. So that
Oh,
they
no.
needed to me quick because they said he's going to be bleeding out if we're not careful. They rushed me in. I go into surgery. I spend like 5 days recovering from surgery. And I remember getting back to New York after being up in Rochester. And after like 5 weeks, I basically was just like, you know what, I can't do this cycling job anymore. You know,
Mm.
I need to get back to my photography again. And I got on my crutches. I put my camera around my neck and I went off and I walked about 6 miles around the city taking pictures. And from that day, I just reevaluated, right, this is what I want to do. Every day I'd sit behind my desk, redesigning my website, learning about marketing. Right, where am I going to move forward? So it was a, a pivotal moment in my career was that day when I broke my hip, because otherwise I could have probably been stuck back in that job still selling cycling clothing if it wasn't for that.
And how was it going out on the crutches with the camera? Like, I mean, what was your rehabilitation like? Were you concerned that you may not be, because obviously photography is a very physical job. Like, was there any concerns? Like, how did you get back into it properly
I, f- I think
from this point?
it was more mental
Okay.
state that I just needed to be out there just taking pictures again. You know, so it's not like I could bend down or anything like that, but I was
Yeah.
enough that I could do some shots. And yeah, mentally it was really tough. Like, you know, it took me 2 years to recover fully from the broken hip. Like
Hmm.
that day really just, and then I had my whole cycling career, the passion that I loved cycling over, you know, I just couldn't do it again the same way. Um, so it kind of it killed my passion, killed my career. But if it hadn't happened, I probably wouldn't have gone on to have the career that I have now.
So if you look at that picture now, because as you say, it's bittersweet. You know, one passion was closed because of what happened, and another one was reignited. So like, do you look at that picture with fondness, or is it does it frustrate you? Like, how do you feel now about it?
Frustrating, to be honest, because
Yeah,
I really, really enjoyed cycling,
yeah,
and I miss all of that. But I'm very competitive cyclist, so it's you're never going to quite be the same as I was before. So it was it was tough from that standpoint, and I'm not one of these people that can just go out and ride just to relax. You know, I was pretty much all in racer, so it's yeah, it was definitely a big moment, and you know, I've broken other bones. So I've broken like my collarbone, and that's part of racing. You
yeah,
know, but to have it happen where it's, you know, someone who couldn't keep their dog on a leash in their house or just keep it in the house, and that it just all it takes is some little thing like that, and it was the fact that it was in the middle of nowhere as well.
yeah.
Like you just wouldn't have expected it. It was like a quiet country road, and literally like one house around, and that was it.
Yeah, that I mean that obviously sucks. And who knows, maybe you'd have got back into photography anyway, but maybe you wouldn't. But I think, I think you've transferred, correct me if I'm wrong, but that intensity that you brought to cycling, although it's different, I feel like you've brought that to the photography. Like, I'm not saying you're competitive in the photographic field, but I know you get up early, like when everybody else is asleep, to get out and make images. You're obviously resilient with the marketing side of things. So I feel like you still have that outlet for your intense isn't the right word, passionate and focused and hardworking side. Would you think that's fair?
Yeah, definitely. Like the I never used to be a morning person until did cycling. I used to be a
Okay.
DJ, I DJ'd, so I was like, I'd come in at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And once I got into cycling, like, I used to have like a pretty bad alcohol problem when I was younger.
Okay.
And I used to have the yellow skin. I was 60 pounds heavier than I was. And I got into cycling. Basically, that saved me, completely saved me. But one of the things with cycling is that you have to get up, 4 a.m., 5 a.m., because most of the races were all really early in the morning, or we'd have to drive like 3, 4 hours to get to a race.
Yeah.
So it's probably another thing from cycling, having that early morning mentality that's helped me with my photography as well.
Thanks for sharing that, man. It's not easy to go back to those difficult times, but like you say, it did change things, and I think we're all happy from people who consume your photography. We're happy that you got back into the field because you know your images put smiles on our faces. So
Right.
it's a good thing.
I appreciate that, mate. Thank you.
So we'll move on to the last one, personal
Yep.
image. That means a lot to you, and we've got a lovely. Funnily enough, we've got a dog here, so
I
it's
know. You know what? I didn't actually plan that out, but yeah,
it's not the dog, is it?
it's the dog. Yeah,
It's the dog. Yeah.
I tracked him down.
But yeah, this is obviously a a wonderful street shot. You've got the dog looking at the non-real dogs, the fake dogs, kind of having that moment. But from your,
Are they really fake?
I don't- yeah, they really. But yeah, why is because you've got such, and this is what I was thinking because you've got such a wide range of images to choose from that I can imagine it's difficult choosing the ones that kind of really stand out to you. And I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but this image is not necessarily one of your kind of most known for shots, if that makes sense. So I'm
Right.
interested why you picked this one particular to speak about.
It was well, one. It was a very to me, it was just a very funny moment. I was
Yeah,
actually I was teaching at the time. The guy that I was teaching had decided that it was a great idea to start blasting people inside a restaurant. The restaurant owner came out to have a go at him. Meanwhile, I turn around and I see this quick moment. I get this picture, not really realizing at the time what that picture would lead to. So this particular shot, it might be for some people, it's their favorite image of mine. I have many images that I like, but this is one of the ones that got into the Library of Congress. And it's also an image that is going to be at the Leica 50-year anniversary of the galleries in Germany.
nice, nice,
So that is the image that will be showcased in Wetzlar in June, which is cool because
nice.
obviously you're with Joel Meyerowitz and you're with McCurry and all these photographers, all the legends per se of photography and Leica world. So for me, having my shot be selected and it be this one in that exhibition is a pretty proud, cool moment for me.
I think that's awesome, man. And it goes to show, doesn't it, for any kind of aspiring photographers. And again, this is a technically strong image, but there's a simplicity to it, right?
Yeah.
And, I think sometimes photographers think to get an image, saying, for example, in a Leica gallery, that it's got to be kind of like a one in a million type moment, something no one's ever seen before. But it's often, I've found in my experience, that the small, simple moments like this of a dog just, looking into the window are the ones that actually tend to stand out the most, in terms of what people connect to and also what galleries are looking for.
Yeah. It's very interesting at what the galleries will look for as well. Because it's very, very different from what we've put out on social media.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we play this juggling act of like, what do we put on social? What's the stuff that the gallery market's going to be looking for? We know that if we put a portrait of someone on social media, that it's going to do horrible, you know, unless it's a particular type of portrait.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
so it's kind of upsetting, but you don't want to fall into that trap of just shooting for social media as well. So this is one of those images that doesn't necessarily do as well on social media as, say, my image of the red traffic lights, with the
yeah.
guy crossing the street in the snow. That one will get a lot of attention, but that's not the one that would get into, say, the Library of Congress or be in an exhibit. So it's hey, it's interesting, that's for sure.
And I find, and I really don't want to make this about me, but I had a image exhibited in the Leica gallery in Vienna. So I'll just drop
Awesome.
that in there. I'll just drop that in there.
Awesome.
But no, and
They're good people.
yeah, no, they were great. They were lovely. But like that moment,
Congrats, man.
no, I appreciate that. But the point I'm making is that that moment has stuck with me so much more than like any kind of social media acceptance or acknowledgement. And it does feel good, of course, but like just actually seeing your image in print. I mean,
Yeah.
in your words, like how does it feel in comparison to the social media traction?
No, you can't beat it.
No.
It's so cool when you walk into a gallery and you see your work on a wall. It's can't beat that.
Yeah.
Or just like people showing up, like, um, the people coming to see the work. Like I've just been on the road for 6 weeks, and I did a few gallery openings for shows that I have right now. And it's very rewarding because you don't know, is anyone even going is anyone going to show up? And then you see people show up in droves, and they're all analyzing your pictures on the wall, and they're all having a drink together and engaging. Is you know that versus someone looking at a phone,
Yeah.
very, very, very different.
Yeah. And you
Can't
can have
can't beat it.
in person, you can have a better dialogue about the image. You can actually really understand what people think rather than, just because of the science of social media, people don't have the time to often put long form messages. Some people do it, but most people it's just nice or love hearts. Whereas in that gallery environment, you've got that community vibe, and especially if, like my image was exhibited with other photographers, so it's just a nice thing to
Yeah.
feel and experience. So
Was this part of the competition?
yes, yes,
Which one?
street photography.
This year or
No,
last
it
year?
was. So I was in there in 2024, so I would have submitted in 2023.
Okay, because I had to judge this year's one. If I'd known you were in it,
I wouldn't have got accepted.
no chance, no chance, mate.
No.
I would. The picture would have been great, but I would have looked for your name on it, and I would have got this kicked out
It's
just
fine.
on the name.
Yeah, the name and the leads
And it's really high
photos.
standard as well. Like the quality of the work that gets submitted is really crazy strong.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's it. It was, and just to go to the gallery was
Yeah,
awesome. And I've been to a few Leica stores around the world, and just every time, and I guess that they're kind of trained to be like this, but still, every time I've just always had a great experience. Like even if you go in and say, "Hey, I'm not spending 8 grand on a camera," they won't just like shrug you away. They'll be like, "Oh, you can, ask us questions. You can
we got
hold
a
it, but
pen.
you have to give
We
it back.
got a pen. We got a pen. You can have.
you
Yeah,
can, you got to pay me."
good. That's
But
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So you said you've got some things going on. Before we end it, if there's anything you want to plug to share with people, what's going on in your world away from these images?
Yeah, it's so if you do want to see work in person, right now I have a show going on in Porto at the Leica Gallery there, and then I have one at the Milan Gallery as well. Those are going to be up. Porto's up till the mid July. The one in Milan is up till mid beginning of September. But then I'm also going to play. This year is a little bit crazy because I'm going to be traveling a lot. But I have shows coming up in Melbourne, Australia, Sydney, and Singapore in August as well. There's going to be a show in Mexico City in September. So if you're in Mexico City, go check that out.
Nice.
And then yeah, the usual workshops. Most of this year I'm overseas. So and then plenty of stuff for 27 already planned.
Good for you, man. I mean, you and I have known each other for quite some time, and just the fact you're still this busy and still getting all over the world and your image out there, I think it's awesome, Phil. Honestly,
Never
good for
stops,
you.
mate, as you know.
Never stops. Well,
Yeah,
I appreciate you speaking with me. I will leave links to all the things you just mentioned in the description so people can go and look at them. And
cool.
I will love you
Thanks,
and leave you.
thanks, Dan.
All
Stay
right,
well,
dude.
mate.
Take care.
Cheers, man.
You too.
Bye.
Bye. Guys, I really hope you enjoyed that episode as much as I did. If you did, please do hit a like. Also, leave a comment and let me know your thoughts. And of course, do subscribe to the channel and tap that bell icon so YouTube notifies you when I next publish. Until the next time, this is Them Frames That Make Us. I'm Dan. See ya.